Hello, and welcome to our Sunday meditation at the Light Institute and the Sanctuary of Light. For those of you who are joining us for the first time, the way we do this meditation is that we divide it into 3 parts. In the first part, we ask our divine higher self, our own inner voice, the intuitive essence of our soul, to take a form for us so that we can align to that as we sit in meditation. We ask it to touch our bodies. We bring that light, that higher self energy into our body, and we sit in meditation. Now, because we're using this kind of zoomy stuff, I'll make a sound, and you can push the pause button on your computer or your iPad or whatever it is, and then you can sit in meditation for as long as you wish. And then in the second part of the meditation, we practice the art of radiance, because when we fill ourselves with light, it expands our consciousness, it expands our energy, it allows us to see the hologram. So we do that by reaching up into the cosmos and drawing down a beautiful beam of white light down to the top of our head, down into our stomach, our solar plexus. And from there we radiate that light, we laser it out across the planet and back up into the sky and into the cosmos. And we just continue to draw it down and feel that light flowing into us and through us and out from us as we sit in meditation. And then another Om. And the third part of the meditation, we have a situation or a question from anywhere around the world as to what we would like to use our consciousness as a vehicle of our purpose into the world. And we have just been advised that there has been a very large earthquake, 6.7 I believe, off the coast of Chile with a tsunami warning. And so we will extend light to that, because all of the planet, we've been having many earthquakes all around the planet. So we want to calm the earth a little bit. The earth is really reflecting our own tsunamis, our own shaking, our own imbalances, our own need to bring things out that have been stuck inside and that are sort of frictioning inside. That's what happens in an earthquake, where the faults are rubbing against each other. So we're going to send light to that, knowing that the outside world reflects what's in the inside world, and vice versa. So as we send light to allow the earth to release its energy without having to create these really violent earthquakes, that perhaps it helps even us, humanity, to come into a more stabilized center. Let's begin. Close your eyes and take a deep breath in through your nose. And slowly exhale through your mouth. Exhalation brings us into a meditative state. And again, breathe in. And exhale slowly. And ask your higher self, the intuitive essence of your soul, your own inner voice, to take a form for you. It could be a light or a being, a tree, an animal, an equation. Whatever form comes to you, allow yourself to perceive that energy. Each time you ask your higher self to take form, it will take a form that serves your consciousness at that moment. So whatever form comes to you now, ask your higher self to touch your body where you hold your divine essence. Just imagine that touch anywhere in your body. And breathe into that touch of your higher selves, so that you're creating an opening, you're creating a connective point. And now draw your higher self in through that point of your divine essence into your body and sit in meditation. breathe deeply into your body and reach up into the cosmos and pull down a beautiful beam of white light. Feel it move in through the top of your head, down into your solar plexus, your stomach, and laser it out across the planet and back up into the sky. And just continue that cycle, drawing it down with your breath and exhaling it out. Allow that to continue as it brings you deeper and deeper into meditation. Om. Breathe deeply into your body. And just imagine in your mind's eye all of the faults around the earth. Every river is a fault. You may focus on Chile, but anywhere that your higher self shows you to focus on where there is instability of the crust, where the earth is having many, many quakes, many tremblings, wherever you're guided to do that. And ask the earth what frequency of light it needs to calm down, to become smooth, to allow the energy to flow effortlessly, gently, so that it is releasing the stresses that it's holding without the violence. Just as you perceive that color, again draw that color from the cosmos down through the top of your head and extend it out to all the faults or any place your higher self shows you to focus on. Perhaps it is chilly at this time. And just continually feed that light into the faults and into the earth. Light is the cosmic language of consciousness. Feed it into our beloved earth, our home. And imagine that as you're extending that light into the earth, that the crust is quieting, that the earth is calming. Breathe deeply into your body and open your eyes. Oh, thank you. We've forgotten that our thoughts, that our consciousness, that the energies we extend from ourselves do influence everything around us, just as everything around us influences us. And so we want to have that harmony. We want to practice these higher levels of consciousness and purpose. So thank you. And now the second part of our meditation is called knowings. When people from around the world, perhaps you, send a question that allows us to focus on something that's important. And as we do that, it can uplift ourselves and all of those who are participating. And so each week we receive those questions, and we'll hear them now. Allison, please.
The first question comes from Vermont in the U.S.A. Dear Chris, holidays during the massive changes that have come with the pandemic have given me pause to reflect. Do you think traditions are stabilizing, or do they limit our progress and evolution?
Oh, that is such a fascinating conversation, and both of those things can be and are true. Of course, with this pandemic, the traditions have been altered anyway, because we perhaps are sequestered in our homes and we can't really reach out to people. And so the conversation of that, how it always is, and one of the things that's important about that is that when people return home to their parents, for example, to their siblings, to big family gatherings, it usually triggers a backward flow whereby we each sort of take up that position in the family that we had as children, which brings us strife and anxiety and emotional conversations that are not illuminating. And so in that way, we were gifted in this last year not to be doing that, but to rather focus on our love or our relationship to our families, perhaps from a distance. Another aspect of that is that that whole conversation about buying gifts and the stress that causes needs to quiet down as we go into the future, because you are the gift. You chose your family and they chose you. And so we want to have our presence and our love be expressed at the giving time. So it's inviting us to find new ways of connecting that could become a tradition, but a tradition that's more fluid, that has to do with expressing the heart and our shared purpose and our support for each other on deep levels, whereby we allow our spiritual energy, that is the essence of all of this incarnation, to become a part of the way we express ourselves rather than the squeezing constructs. And so it is time for us to review habits and patterns that we've had and polish them and say, what is the higher octave of this? And that has been part of what this pandemic, this global situation has offered us in this last year. Is what do we need to change? What do we need to let go of? And what could we bring that is more about who we are individually and collectively? So let us go forward and know that we can have the courage to say, no, that really doesn't have meaning. That's an old pattern. And how shall we bring in new energies that, again, bring happiness, bring connection, and bring truth? Thank you. Allison.
The second question is from London, England. Dearest Chris, I was sent a video that was not staged of my 6-year-old grandchild reading a Christmas book to her little brother as they cuddled under the covers on Christmas Eve. The quiet beauty of this bond took my breath away, especially in the midst of all the upheaval on the planet and in our personal lives right now. I wonder if you can talk about the value of relationships that are quiet, supportive, and gentle, and why we sometimes focus or obsess more on the ones that are rough.
It is true that children often show us the future, show us the possibilities in their quietness, in their direct expression of who they are and how they relate to each other. So that is such a touching image for me, that kind of loving conversation that is true for them. Children have not been taught so much that if I love you, you have to love me back. There's much less buying and selling in terms of their hearts, and that's something that we can learn from them, to just have that kind of truth and that awareness that anyone you bring into your life is someone that you have chosen, really, the role that they will play. And so it's very important for us to begin to choose roles like that, whereby we can find that we are able to extend our hearts in gentle ways, in ways that are new ways of expressing partnership, love, relationship. And so I really love that. The reason that we obsess on the negative is because our emotional bodies are triggered biochemically by shock and jolts. And so the ego is always looking for an insult because of the addiction to that biochemistry that happens if you're hurt or angry or afraid. That stimulates an energy flow in your body, and the emotional body becomes very addicted to that. So that's a pattern that we can release. Let us do something right now, a little exercise in consciousness that I think is an exquisite way to access that in ourselves. Let us for a moment imagine or ask inside who it is that has been loving us in that gentle way. that cares for us, that extends that kind of very quiet relationship. Sometimes we don't notice those kind. We don't notice the people that support us or love us. Let's bring them into our consciousness right now so that we're aware of them. And then let us turn this around and extend light to them in gratitude that they have been there for us and with us and will be with us. Because so often those are the ones that we don't recognize. And it's time for us to shift our consciousness to embrace the grace of those who quietly, gently support and love us. Close your eyes. Take a deep breath into your body and ask your higher self to bring forward, it could be 1 or 3 or people in your life who are that way with you, who are gentle with you, caring with you, are there for you, that you may not even recognize that they are playing those parts in your life. Just see who comes into view. It might surprise you. And when you have a sense of someone or several people who do relate to you in that loving but gentle and perhaps almost invisible way, bring them into your mind's eye and ask them what frequency of light they need from you to receive your awareness of them and the importance of them and the gift of them in your life. Take the first color that comes into your consciousness. And again, reach up into the cosmos and pull exactly that tone and frequency of light down through the top of your head, down into your solar plexus, and laser that light that they have asked for to them. And feel as if you extend that light, each color is a complete message on higher octaves. But as you extend that light to them, that they will receive from you an awareness of the gift that they are in your life. Yes. And take a deep breath and open your eyes. I think that is something that we could do again and again. The more that you give back and discover that there's so many people like that in your life, the more it will help you to be one of those kind of people, to relate in that way to others. And we will have a more loving, evolved, and peaceful world. Thank you. Allison.
The last question comes from Australia.
Australia. Hello, down under.
Dear Chris, I am glad to see 2020 go. Will you please talk about 2021? If there is any good news and where you think humanity is heading. I value your insight and know you will tell it straight as you always do. Thank you for helping all of us along this year, and happy upcoming New Year.
Oh, so sweet. Yes, well, we have to begin with this year, 2020. Numerologically, it has been a master year, and it has invited us and actually given us a mandate to think bigger, to go into the future, to envision, and to hold the highest, and to really sort of jump across the precipice and be bold. And rather than that, what has happened is that through this pandemic, which has been a gift to us in many ways, even if so painful, because it's asked us to question what is true, what is really valuable in our lives. And so what's happened is that we have seen wars, we have seen imbalance, we have seen everything but mastery. Not because we haven't done it well, but because these things have needed to come out. We have been holding these wars, these patterns, this psychogenetic energy of negativity and fear and loss for thousands and thousands of years. And so what's happened is that they've all come forward in this last year. And that is going to bode very well for this last year. We often tend to be a little bit behind the potential. And so I feel that this next year is one where we will catch up and we will begin to have that opportunity to find the mastery within us individually and collectively, begin to work together. Next year, numerologically, is a 5. A 5 is spiritual searching. It is the self and the world. And so it will help us to reinvent who we are. It's also adventure and travel. So let's just say that adventure and travel will begin to open the borders, release us from the fear of this pandemic, and we will come to a place where finally we can realize that, no, we can choose whether we're vulnerable to these things. We can protect our bodies in ways that we haven't even thought of before. Not all of them are coming from the outside in, but rather from the inside out. And so the 5 is also a teacher. And I feel that we will begin to, as we've moved through the worst part, the negative part, that which had to be released, the same as has happened on the planet, and we'll begin to care for the planet and begin to take the steps necessary to cool off our planet so there isn't global warming, to care for nature, to care for each other. And as we do that, then that mastery of the 5 will come into play. I feel that it's going to, as it goes along next year. And by the way, time is an illusion. How quickly can that happen? Because we say, now, China says wait a little bit for the beginning of the year, but we have decided in the Western world, the 1st of January is the new year. Whenever humanity says this is it, that's when we commit without thinking of it in that way. That's when we begin to bring forward, to pull the power of manifestation. So it's very important what we think will happen in 2021. It depends on our capacity to envision, to hold the light, to see through this darkness and say, things are changing. We are coming into a new time, a time of mastery. It belongs to us. It's why we're here. I am feeling already the gift of 2021. Join me in holding in your consciousness and in your heart a time when we begin to truly express and live our purpose on this planet. Great love, Australia, and to everyone.